each. Mic check 1 2. What to do? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today we're talking about Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. But before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate your feedback. All right, y'all, let's get right into it. So, Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders, aka Primetime, Hall of Famer, legendary cornerback, and now head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, made his Power 5 debut against TCU, a team that just played in the national championship game. Let me tell you something. This is exactly what I expected to happen. A lot of people have come to the channel when we made the videos, or people have made videos on their own channel. The pundits, all the big name people have been talking about how hard it was going to be for Deion Sanders to have success. He'll be lucky to win 3 games this year, etc., etc. What they didn't take into account was the simple fact that he turned over an entire roster in a year, and what most coaches were taking 3 to 5 years to do. He did it in a year. Some coaches were able to do it in 2.5 or so, but he did it in one recruiting season. He purged out the players who went 1-11, and he held over the players that were about that life and believed in his system and believed in working hard. And he was able to have success right away on opening day. They beat TCU 45-42, and statistically, this is an amazing display of offense. Defensively, there's some stuff, like he said, they're going to have to clean up, but going to go ahead and throw this graphic on the screen. As you can see, they had 4 receivers with over 100 yards. Dylan Edwards, 135, Travis Hunter, 119, and he missed a couple. He could have had damn near 200 yards in the first half. Xavier Weaver, 118, and Jimmy Horn Jr., 117 yards, while quarterback Shedeur Sanders threw for 510 yards and 4 TDs, and he went 38-47. A little bit heavy on the passing side, but the running game just wasn't giving what it needed to give. So in turn, they aired that thing out, and they were connecting on a regular basis. And like I said, there was a couple of miscues where Travis Hunter was deep, and the ball was either just a little bit out of his reach, or he just couldn't control it for a couple catches. That being said, this was all around a dominant offensive performance, and TCU answered the bell by coming back with 42 points, even taking the lead a couple times late, where it was a seesaw battle, with Colorado eventually slamming the door shut with a long touchdown by Dylan Edwards to seal the game. He opened the scoring and closed the scoring with a receiving touchdown. So shout out to him. This is a guy that a lot of people outside of Colorado didn't know anything about, and now he's on the radar as one of the best players on that team. Like I said, on defense, there's a lot to be cleaned up. You give up 42 points, even though your offense answered the call, your defense has to do better, and that's something that he addressed. Another thing that was important as part of the outcome of this game, Colorado's the first Power 5 team to win the season opener as a 20-plus point underdog since 1997. So shout out to Coach Prime and his team for doing that. Again, I want to heap some credit on Shedeur Sanders. This is a guy who, like Coach Prime said, he keeping the receipts. And he's like, wait a minute, he had a little fun with the media after the game and was like, y'all trying to tell me the HBCU quarterback, who happens to be my son, just threw for 510 yards? It's like a Colorado Buffaloes record. Nobody's throwing for more than that. Even the legendary Cordell Stewart didn't do that. So that's got to tell you something about the pedigree of this kid. He's got NFL genes running deep in him, and it's showing up on the field, and you can't discredit the hard work he's put in to get where he's at. He basically played 2 years of JUCO. Think of Cam Newton and how successful he was when he finally got to, big time football. As a starter, he was damn near unstoppable. And he went and played some JUCO ball. You could look at that time at Jackson State similar to that same path, except that's pretty major. They played in some pretty heavy games while he was at Jackson State, and I think it prepared him for some of the pressure he would see when he got to this level. And now they're in a conference that, in my opinion, isn't widely known for defense, so he'll be in a bunch of shootouts. He'll get to test his arm, work on some stuff, and really get to be a factor in these games. So I want to give credit to him as well. Last picture I want to put up on the screen. We're going to leave it there while I talk this thing out. Coach Prime made a promise when he got there, and he had to have the other surgery. He's had some toes removed. He had some things going on with his feet and his legs, and he's been getting that taken care of. He said, I'm getting on track to run out of the tunnel with the team. I'm going to do that. And this graphic and probably the video that played right before it started was Coach Prime running out. when you have a guy that makes a promise like that and delivers, and he's telling you it's nothing but God, and he's crediting a higher power for him being in the position to do the things he's doing, it makes you want to run through a wall for him. It makes you get emotional, and that's what you see from his players. They're very emotionally invested, and like he said, some people weren't believers until today. I've been a believer from the beginning. When he went to Jackson State, he said what he was going to do. He turned over the roster. He made them a successful team. He left a successful team. They won their season opener last week, unfortunately lost today. However, that's still a good team down there in Jackson. Took his luggage, headed to Colorado, shows up and wins the first game. Now, he might go 500 this year, 5-5 or 6-5, whatever case may be. I think they have about 11 games on their schedule, and they are in the Pac-12 with established teams. But I watch UCLA play, I watch USC play, and I think that this season, if they can continue to be consistent, they're going to be a force within that conference. And then next season, they're headed to the Big 12, and it's basketball on grass. And when you got an offense like this, Shadour's going to be going into his senior season. There's a lot to be said about that. Last thing I want to address here, he mentioned that he felt like he had some Heisman hopefuls on the field on his roster. I think Travis Hunter, having played just in the first half alone, he played 65 out of 80 snaps. So he had to finish the game with well over 100 snaps. And then he was cutting a little dance in the locker room after. He was getting busy. So just that's young energy. It is nothing else you could credit it to. But shout out to him for being diverse, playing on both sides of the ball, and he had success. He had a game-sealing interception. Basically, he stopped the touchdown, and then he put up some great offensive numbers as well. A viable option in the offense. He's not just a decoy receiver to get people to look his way and respect his speed. He's somebody you got to put one of your better players on him, or he's going to dog you out. And he showed that he gave their best cornerback hell all damn day. So I like what I've seen from this Colorado Buffalo team. I love what I'm seeing from Coach Prime. I love the representation that he is, not only as a football coach, but as a man and a human being, in a way that he really shows that he cares about his players, and then he gives them that swag, and he always makes sure he promotes them as a marketable individual and how they can be at that next level from here on out. They could just keep leveling up and keep getting better, and that anything is possible. So wanted to give a shout out to them. 45-42 over TCU. I expect them to probably enter the rankings 25, something like that, or be right on the edge of it. And if they can steal a win next week against Nebraska, I believe that's their next opponent. We might see some things happen for this Colorado team pretty early. If they're able to sustain it, that has yet to be seen, but I am already a believer, and we will be tracking this throughout the season. So this has been T for the Mike Check Podcast. Shout out to Coach Prime. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Until the next time I'm out. Peace.